Can you hear it? Can you feel it? Can you taste it? Love. It's in the air because it's Valentine's Day. And on this special Valentine's Day episode of the Top 10 list, what better place to find love than on a dating show? So here are my top 10 dating shows of all time. What this list compiles of is that I did a ranker list, and the link is down in the description box below. You can go and check it out for yourself. I did a list of the top 25 dating shows of all time. So and I've got a whole bunch of them, and I found them, and it's so fun to go back and look upon some of these fondly. But what I decided to do, I decided to take since I don't do top 25 lists. I'll say that for list 25. Um, I and they might actually have one, today or they've done one in the past, but that's neither here nor there. Um, Today I'm giving you the top 10 from that list and presenting it to you today. So let's go ahead and let's count down the top 10 dating shows of all time. Number 10, Extreme Dating. Now, what this show was that this was a dating show, but what happened was that one of the daters would have two exes. I think one time they even had three, but it would be two exes would be in the other dater's ear. So let's say that was a guy and he was on a date with a girl. The guy would have two of his exes in the girl's ear. Talking to him, telling him, asking him questions. Well, what about the time you did this? And then, she would say, ask him about the time he did this. And then she would ask him, and then they would have to, go about it and talk about it. And at the end of the date, a limo would pull up. And it would be, and it would depend on who it would be. Would it be the other dater that he went on the date with, or would it be his exes? And then if not, the show would if it was the girls, the show would pay for them to have another date. And I thought this was fantastic. It was hosted by the beautiful Jillian Barberie, and by the way, shout out to Jillian Barberie. She's going through a tough time right now, and she is fighting cancer. But I know you got it. You are a strong woman, and we are hoping that the best for you during this tough time. We know you got some kiddos as well, so we are giving you our love and those kids our love as well. But it was hosted by Jillian Barberie, and she was I think she was a very good host and everything like that. And I had, and I thought was a great show. Probably one of the most I think there were a lot of dates, but from what I can remember, I think one of the main ones that I remember is the date. There was two of them. There was one when like the guy, the exes decided screw that and they decided to take the guy and and they ran off with the guy, leaving the girl alone. And then there was also one time when the girl was like the exes was just haters, and she decided to give the guy a true second chance. So I thought that was awesome too. But this was a fantastic dating show. It was a syndicated one, but it was fantastic. And it's number 10 on my list of dating shows of all time. Number 9, The Fifth Wheel. The Fifth Wheel was a pretty interesting dating show. What it was that what they usually did. I don't think they went along the lines homosexuality um, with this show, but um, I may be wrong on that, but usually it was two guys and two girls, and then they'd split off, and they'd have a little time to themselves, and you know they have a little date, talk with, see how they like each other. Then they would swap partners, and then they would have a time of a date or something like that. And then later on in the date, when it was like around dinner time, they would bring in either another guy or they would bring in another girl, the fifth wheel, right? And then they would have, and then he or she would try to, get to the other, obviously the other people. And this was good, and this was great. I found this to be great. And they went to the, they would go to dinner. Then they would have, after dinner, they would have, like, she would have one-on-ones with the, with one of the daters, and then while the other dater was, so let me give an example. Like I said, two guys, two girls. Let's take another girl. So she would have a one-on-one date with one of the guys, where the other guy would be at dinner with the two original girls. And then that would swap, and then he would go out, with a one-on-one date with the fifth wheel, and then the other guy would come back, and he would be on the date with the two girls. And then I think they had that, they had one more kind of date, and then at the end of the date, they would have to choose who they would want, who they would want to go out with. And it was always good. There were some of them that, with all of these dating shows, as I would watch, I would, talk about who I would want and who I would choose, right? And there were times when I thought, well, he's choosing the right one, but there were times when I thought, well, he was definitely chose the wrong one. I'm not sure, but everybody has their different tastes, some like and things like that. But yeah, and I should also say that if you are inclined to, you should go you should check out, try to find on the internet the fifth wheel, some of the some of the pay-per-view shows, some of the uncensored content, because this show did get wild. This show did get wild. This show was known for getting women in the adult entertainment industry in some form or fashion to come on the show, and then they would get naked, and then maybe some of the normal girls, I shouldn't say normal girls, some of the civilian girls, they would get naked too. So this was known for nakedness. And really, there was a lot. Extreme Dating has some nakedness too, but not as much as the fifth wheel, not as much as our number one dating show. But yeah, I would say if you are inclined to, you should check that out. They might even still sell the videos. I don't know. But number 9 on the list of the top 10 dating shows of all time, The Fifth Wheel. Number 8, The Choice. Now, The Choice was a rip-off, parody, whatever you want to call it, of The Voice. As you know, some of you may know, The Voice is a competition show, talent show, singing show, where 4 judges are in chairs, and then a person comes out there and they sing. And if the judge like it, they can hit a button and turn around, and then they can, and then at the end of the song, if more than one turns around, then the singer has to choose, what team they're going to be on. This was like that. What this was that they found daters, mainly celebrities. They found celebrities, and they did the same thing. That a person would come out and they would talk about themselves, like, I've done, I am this, I am a educated person. I like to do this, I like to do that. And then if that celebrity liked it, they hit a button and they'll turn around. And there were some pretty interesting names. We had Romeo Miller. We had Ndamukong Suh from the Los Angeles Rams. At that time, he was on the Detroit Lions. There were other celebrities as well. But and this is only for one season. This is on Fox, only for one season. The summer. Whew, I don't know. There was a summer. The summer of Jesus. Probably what was it? It would be that would be 2010, 2011, maybe. So I think one of those summers. This was a long time ago because this was around the same time. Oh boy, I can't remember. Maybe it was, I don't know, but this was that summer. They had another show that followed it. It's not on my top 10 list. It's not on my top 25 list. But it was something like called like the 100 or something like that. It was another dating show. I think that one was pretty good too. But I liked this one better, and I thought it was fantastic, and it was good enough that even though it was only on for one season, one summer, it's number 8 on my list of the top 10 dating shows of all time. The choice. Number 7, Dating Naked. Now I'm sure you guys have probably heard of this one. This one was on VH1, and it was pretty awesome, I think, and it was canceled just a couple years ago. They only did 3 seasons, and there might be a reason why it was canceled. I'll get into that in a second. But this was just what it was. This was I think not only was this a dating show, this was also a social experiment of some sort, because what this was that this was just, you would be dating naked, as it says. You'd be on the island. You'd be on this tropical island, and you would be there. You would have to date people, and you would have to, date them fully nude. You'd be naked, they'd be naked, and then you'd have to get together and figure out, just everything is out there, and what happens, and everything. So, the first season, probably the best season in my opinion, was the one I thought, because um, I found the first season was more. I thought it was very interesting, because every episode was a different. It was different main daters. There were 2 daters. They went on a date, and then they also went on other dates with other women and other men. And then at the end, they would choose who they liked best, and it was more. And I found those to be a lot more better. Season 2 and season 3, I was well, it was okay, but my thing was in both seasons, right? Both seasons, because they changed it up. Like I said, while in the first season, they would each show had a different main daters. Season 2 and season 3, they decided to just have, you know 2 main stars, and then each week those 2 would go on more naked dates, and then they would have to choose who they wanted. And in both seasons, the guy was almost manipulated by the girl into not picking the girl that was most right for him. Like in season 2, um, there was this guy Chris, and he was picking this other girl. He had only way I can describe her is she had a big booty, and she was a brunette. Um, and that was, and for the longest time he was very into her, and he was, you know liking her. But the girl main dater on the show was kind of into him, and and she kind of guilted him into thinking that she wasn't, that the girl that he liked wasn't a good enough girl, and it ended up being to where, when the end of the show, he decided he wanted to be with the other main girl, and she turned out that she wanted to go off and be with somebody else. So, and it just, that was garbage. And and the same thing happened on season 3 with David and Natalie. And David, had this one girl. She was blonde. Her name was Michelle. She was awesome, and you know, um, and she was totally down for him, and she was down for him, wanted to be with him. And Natalie, again, they kind of decided because she was into David, you know, you surely, it's making him feel guilty for being with her, and you know, but this one ended different because they did choose each other. So, and I'm not sure how long they were together for, but they didn't end up because Natalie, she found someone else and she was even like pregnant. I remember looking through her Twitter. So, but all in all, the show was fantastic. And it's a shame that it does been canceled, but anyway it goes, it was a great dating show, a great concept, a great social experiment. Number 7 on my list of dating shows of all time, Dating Naked. Number 6, Eliminate. Now, Eliminate was a syndicated show, and in Chicago, it was. There were many different times when it came on in Chicago, but particularly it was always came on during nighttime, like after hours. Because now this wasn't like the Fifth Wheel or Extreme Dating where there was seemingly a lot of people getting naked. I don't remember it a lot, but but uh, there was like some definitely some extreme moments. And if you don't know about this, let me explain this. So what went down was there was a dater, and he had four, and he and she had 4 contestants, and there were 3 rounds, and at each round, he or she would have to eliminate a dater to get down to the final 2, and then when he or she would know, he would choose within, and then that would be the date. Um, Now I will say on this show, there was definitely some progressiveness with this one. They did do some gay and some lesbian. I think they even did a couple of bisexual, where the main data was bisexual, and and he or she would have 2 girls and 2 guys actually. So it was definitely a progressive show. Um, And yeah, and I thought it was fantastic. And again, like I've always, and again, like I said earlier, I always put myself, particularly when the guy, and I would put myself in that position. Which one would I want? And when they would choose the one that was perfect for me, and they would get rid of it, I would get so upset. I wouldn't want to watch the rest of the episode. But yeah, it was a great show. I thought it was a good concept. Um, there was a concept kind of like this on MTV. Once again, if you check the link down in the description box, you can go and check my top 25 dating shows of all time, and it is in that. It's called Dismissed, where one guy be on a date with 2 people, and then if they didn't like it, you have to go dismissed. So I thought this was good. So um, obviously, one of the great dating shows of all time is Eliminate, number 6. Number 5, Excused. Now, this one probably the most recent of. No. Actually, it would be Dating Naked, but this one happened very recently as well. Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. It was hosted by Eliza Schlesinger, the comedian, and what it would be is they would have um, a guy or a girl up there, and then they would have a dater come to a door and ring the doorbell, and if the based on and depending on the looks and the or maybe was it more than one, more than I don't know, I can't remember, and that's a shame. I should apologize for that. But there would be a bunch of daters that would come to the door, and then based on the looks and based on what they said, they would be allowed in, and then they would have like a little party and a little dance party, and or whatever, and then everything came out, and then at the end of the show, the data would have to choose between the two of the people or three of the people that they like, and and it was fantastic. I'm not doing it justice because I can't remember exactly how it went down, but I don't think there are any videos of it on YouTube. I don't think. Actually, there might be. They had a YouTube channel, and I subscribed to it, but I don't remember. But I thought this was a good dating show too. This was only on for about one season, maybe it might have been on for 2 seasons actually, but this one was pretty good, and I enjoyed the hell out of this one. So, Excused is number 5 on my list of the top 10 dating shows of all time. Number 4, Next. Now this one was it was revolutionary. It really was. It was television Tinder. It was, without question, it was. So again, let me explain for you guys who may not know that there was a dater, and the person, depending on what he or she was it gay, straight, or even bisexual, MTV was always progressive. MTV had the first bisexual dating show. You guys may remember that. With Tila Tequila, actually. Uh, but they were always progressive in that manner. But so then there would be 5 people on this bus, the next bus, and you had one person come out, and then what I love is they have them walk down on the bus, and then they say something, and then they pull up, and then be their name and their age and like 3 facts about them. And then the dater would be standing there, and then the person would come down, and from that point to whenever, if the main dater did not like did not like anything about the one of the contestants, he or she would say next, and then they would have to go back on the bus, and then the second person would come down, and it would always be like this, and here was the catch. Here was the catch. For however many minutes you stayed on the date, you get cash. So if you were on the date for 5 minutes, you got $5. If you were on a date for 120 minutes, you got $120. Anything like that, and that would be it. And then well, I should say that would be if you were also next, right? If you were next. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if you get money if you were next. I can't remember. Next has been off MTV for a long time too, so I can't remember if you did. But anyway, the thing is that if at the end of the date, I do remember this. At the end of the date, the dater would give you the opportunity to go on a second date with him or her, or the amount of money, in minutes that you've been on the date. So if you've been on the date for 47 minutes, that'll be $47. You could take that and go back to the bus, or you'd go on a second date with the other person, and then they had the decision. So it was pretty much all good, and this was fantastic. Like I said, it was Twitter. It was not Twitter. It was Tinder television style, and it was fantastic, and it was great. Number 4 on the list of dating shows of all time. Next, number 3. Are You the One? Are You the One is still on tonight, on today, on MTV, and it is. I think it is totally fantastic. I love this. I love the drama in all of it. I love the stupidness of a lot of these folks. It is incredible. I love the fact that that not, these people, even those who have like the first season and maybe even the second season, I could understand. I could totally understand not like not getting too emotional when a person that you like, when you really like is being with somebody else, going on a date with somebody else, talking to somebody else. Maybe I might understand that because you're just trying to figure out. But from season 3 on, I'm sure that you've watched the show, so it would make sense to me that you would understand how the show works, and you need to try to figure out who your match is. But a lot of you, they get locked on to one person and they want to stay with that one person. That's just that's always enough. Sometimes that's just sometimes that's what it is, and there have been times like this past season where they get locked on to one person and they are their match, and that's just it, and good for them. But most of the time they aren't. They aren't their match. They go to the truth booth and they go in there and they go, what? They start crying and they can't believe it. But it's incredible. And I actually found out some stuff. Of course, I do Twitter, obviously on these shows and something like that. And I scrolled through the hashtag, and I remember this past one. A lot of people always want, because basically what happens is that, and this happens basically every season except for one. Basically, what happens is that they they go through the first 9 weeks being absolutely foolish, right? Foolish and stupid, and then that 10th week is the week that they get their shit together, they find everybody's perfect match, and then they win $1 million, and that's the deal of the show. If all um, 10 or 11 matches, if they can if they can correctly get all 10 or 11 matches, then they win $1 million. And every season they wait until the 10 o'clock, and it causes some people it causes some people to wonder if this is a scripted television show. It causes some people if this is if the producers intervene in some form or fashion. But apparently, what happens is that the producers don't allow them to do the stuff that they do until their final week. So their final week, when they're going around and they're saying, okay, you sat here and you sat here week 1 and you sat here week 2. They can't do that those other weeks, and so that's why a lot of these people, they do the work until week 10. So, but I will say this: I would like to see, because like a lot of these dating shows, it's young people, like 23, 24 and younger, right? Something like that. But there's a part of me that I wonder. I'd like to see an Are You the One with people in their late 30s, early 40s, and I only say that because I wonder if people in their late, if they would be more realistic, and if they know themselves enough to know, and you know, would it last until week 10? So they'll never do it because um, even though you can find good-looking, well-built men and women in their late 30s, early 40s, you probably wouldn't get the audience to stay because they couldn't connect to them. Probably, you know, because some of them will probably have kids. Some of them will probably, you know, going through, you know, trials and tribulations that, you know, young people can never understand. So it probably would not be well received. But I personally would like to see it. Yeah, from MTV, it's Are You the One, number 3 on my list of top 10 dating shows of all time. Number 2, Dating in the Dark. Dating in the Dark had a run. Again, this was probably mid, early aughts, uh, 3 or 4 summers on ABC, where it was a dating show from the UK, I believe, or Australia, one of the two. I can't remember. But they took that thing from then, and what it was that it was once again, it was almost like the fifth wheel in a way. It was where there was these 2 guys and there was these 2 girls, um, and what they would do is they would go into a room that was pitch black, talk and get to know each other. And so they couldn't see. They couldn't see how they looked or anything like that. The only thing they would know is just, you know, by off their personality. Um, and then they brought in another dater, and I believe, and then that would happen, and they would do the same thing, and then at the end, they would get into the room. They would go back into the room, and they would shine a spotlight on them so that you could see how they would look. So, you know, it would be, you know, so that you could see if they were attractive, if they weren't attractive, if they were just meh, you know, whatever. And I thought it was good. And listen, there were a lot of times. There were plenty of times when a dater liked another person, and they went in that room and the shot lights on, and then they weren't that attracted to them, and they went off and they left. And I loved how they left. They left by with their bags, going down leaving the house with 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 and going into the limo. And I thought this was just fantastic. I thought this was, again, a great social experiment, you know, proving once again that, you know, looks do matter, and you should, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with looks mattering to folks, and also to the fact that maybe in some cases, maybe looks aren't as important as you think they were. So, no, this was a great dating show. I loved it. I am so sick that, you know, they have not. Um, but it's, I mean, this is I personally think this is a perfect dating show for like TLC or one of these other networks, something like that, Oxygen Network. You know, this is one of these dating shows is perfect for that. You know, and I'm surprised they not have you know done something like that now. So, but yeah, it is totally unreal that it is not on right now. But it is number 2 on my list of the top 10 dating shows of all time. Dating in the Dark. And number 1, the original reality TV show dating show, Blind Date. And let's face it, y'all, this is still the best one. It is undoubtedly Just fantastic. It was hosted by Roger Lodge, and he was a great host for this as well. So what it was that this was a dating show where you would have one dater go on a blind date with another. Just like it's fine. They didn't see what it was, something like that, and they had a camera crew follow them on their date, and they would do some. I don't know if the dater planned the date, or I don't know if blind date planned the date, whatever. But they would go out and date and have fun and things like that, and it was always fantastic. And this was on for about 5 or 6 years. This was at the beginning of the reality TV show era. This was, I believe, this started probably around 2001. I think the summer of 2001, or maybe like the fall of 2001, maybe something like that. But it was on for about 5 or 6 years, maybe even 7 years, and it was just totally awesome. And it was so it was so enjoyable. They had these things they called dates from hell, which I personally think, like, the first 2 or 3 years, I just think it was just a random act where the date would go wrong. But then I also think there were some other times when they purposely put two people together that were not going to match. And they did it on purpose. Because you can see, they would always show pictures. They always show video from, like, their interview, their pre-interview or whatever, talking about it. And one person would go, I am a Democrat through and through. And then the next clip would be the other person saying, I'm a Republican through and through. And then you go back and the other person would say, I love steak. I love potatoes. That's what I do. Another person would go, I can't eat an animal. I'm a total vegetarian. And then they would just be the exact opposite. So you know that this is gonna be a date from hell. And this was fantastic. There are a few dates that I remember being very, very memorable. There was one date, and again, this was after 9/11. So, and obviously everybody was very, very patriotic. But there was one date a year or two after, like 2002, 2003. One day, the guy who was a Marine went on a date with a girl, and they had a fantastic date. And she brought him back home to her roommate, and uh, and he said he's a soldier, and we should show him love. And apparently they must have had a threesome. Apparently, so that was one that sticks out in my mind. There's another one that sticks out that again, it was a guy. Nothing special about him, but I guess he was just a good enough guy. They had a date. And again, the girl brought him back home and with her roommate, and they had a threesome as well. So yeah, I mean, that's two that come to my mind. There's a couple others as well. Um, and also this show, like I mentioned earlier, back when I talked about on the fifth wheel, this was a show that was also known for its kind of, I guess you would say, scandalous stuff. They without question, there's many pay-per-view, and I actually think you could probably find them on pay-per-view. I don't know, but they had many shows once again where women from the adult entertainment industry were on this show looking for a date or whatever, and they would get naked, and then the other girls, the civilian girls, they were likely to get naked too. And so, and there were all of these things. You can always check the things for the dates for, like, um, um, like, yeah, just the uncensored version. They even had a DVD of it, so there was a lot of them. So it was always It was always a very risque, very scandalous show, but a very fun show, a great show, and the greatest dating show of all time, without question, is Blind Date. And there you have it, my top 10 dating shows of all time. Once again, I did on Ranker a top 25 dating shows of all time. The link is down in the description box, in the description.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Description box below. You can check it out on there. You can, and even with Ranker, you can even like do your own list. You can take my list and then do your own list if you want to. So make sure you check that out, right? You know, down in the description box below. But that is it. Post in the comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Just tell me, do you guys think any other dating shows that you think are better and deserve to be in the top 10? You know, yeah, let me know down in the comment section. Give me your top 10 too if you don't want to do one on Ranker. You know, or if you do one on Ranker, post it in the comment section below. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy, EX-TREME, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.